Hey Optimancers, Chris here. Today we continue my Druid spell series, and this is the final video as we explore the big gun 9th level spells. These are the most powerful spells in the game, of course, but more than that, they represent a big jump in power from 8th level spells. Now a lot of characters will never get to a high enough level to get these spells, but if you do, also be aware there is a big jump from the worst 9th level spells to the best ones, and the Druid spell list is no exception. So, if you are unfamiliar with 9th level spells, and you're picking preparations for the first time, I think you'll find this valuable. That said, the Druid 9th level spell list is very small. There are 4 spells. I'm telling you though, the best of those 4 and the worst of them encompasses a vast range. This is the only level of spells where there aren't any additions from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, so this is going to be a shorter video because we're covering fewer spells, so we might as well get going. If you like the content on this channel and you'd be interested in supporting it, you can do so through Patreon. The link to the Patreon page is in the video description. Patrons of this channel can see these videos early and without the YouTube ads, and my top level patrons can join me and play some D&D every month. Today I'd like to thank these top level patrons: Bloody Nine, Brian Gardner, CJ, Cass Byrne, Christian Wyndham, Unknown Watcher, Craig Locklear, Dan, Dank Train, and Dash Panther. Thank you all so much for your support. Let's get started. So I'm just going to quickly remind you how I do rankings. If I rank a spell as blue, I think it is a fantastic spell. If I rank a spell as green, I think it is a good spell. If I rank a spell as purple, I think it is decent. If I rank a spell as orange, I think it might be circumstantially good, but I wouldn't normally prepare it. And if I rank a spell as red, I am not recommending the spell. I will do 1 star for red, 2 stars for orange, 3 stars for purple, 4 stars for green, and 5 stars for blue if you are colorblind. Alright, so let's get going. Okay, so let's start with Foresight. So Foresight is actually pretty straightforward. Our Druid casts this spell over a minute, and for the next 8 hours, the target we touch can't be surprised. They have advantage on all attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws. In addition, any attack rolls made against them have disadvantage. This spell doesn't require concentration, so basically, you cast it, turn one character into a superstar, and they stay a superstar for likely the whole adventuring day. Unless it gets dispelled or something. The effect here is reasonably dramatic. Advantage on basically everything. Skill checks, initiative rolls, attack rolls, saving throws, everything. And with disadvantage on all attacks against the target, which can be yourself or an ally, they can become very tough to hit. So this spell is simple, it's fairly effective, good duration, no concentration. I really don't have much more to say. It's clearly a green spell. I'd put it definitely well in the top half of 9th level spells from any spell list, though it's not as potent as the best spells of the level. Did I just say best spells of the level? Well, I guess our next spell should be Shapechange. We cast this spell as an action, and for a duration of up to 1 hour, using our concentration, we can assume the form of any creature that isn't a construct or undead, or has class levels or the spellcasting trait, as long as their challenge rating is equal to our level or lower, and we've seen the creature at least once. We retain our mental ability scores. We also retain our skills, saving throw proficiencies. Our actual bonus may change if our ability score changed, but you also get all the proficiencies of the creature, which form you assumed. You can't use a creature's legendary or layer actions, but you can absolutely use its legendary resistances, innate spellcasting, or any other special features. In addition, you keep all the features from your class, race, or anything else, including your spellcasting, as long as the new form has the physical requirements to cast spells. So basically you need the ability to perform somatic and verbal components, though depending on your Druid level you could combine a wild shape and bypass those, since you keep your ability to wild shape. Something like a Spores Druid is probably going to get a lot of use out of those temporary hit points they can get through wild shape to further buff the forms they take. Now, we should talk about changing into a creature that can also change shape, because the restrictions on monster shape changing aren't nearly as well defined as those available through player character spellcasting. So, if you turn into a gold dragon, then use the gold dragon's ability to change into any humanoid, you better talk to your DM first on how that's going to work, because there's some game-breaking possibilities there. Here's what makes this spell really stand out though. As long as the spell is active, you can change form again using an action. You can do this any number of times for the duration of the spell. And when we take a new form, all those features we used from the previous form, now we're going to get a whole bunch of new features. And what also happens is you have features that have limited uses, and you can just go to another form with limited uses, maybe of the same feature, maybe of different features. So you can just use these features over and over and over again. And in this just provides a crazy level of versatility and available features. So much versatility, I can't possibly summarize them without devoting an entire video, which I have already done. So I'll provide the link for that because Shapechange is one of those spells. The more I dive into what you can actually accomplish with it, the more impressed I am with it. Oh, and speaking of which, an upcoming book, Monsters of the Multiverse, is going to be removing a lot of spellcasting traits from existing creatures and replacing them with innate spellcasting and recharging features that act like spells, but aren't spells. The big question I get asked is what this is going to do to counterspell. But the question we could also be asking is what is this going to do to Shapechange? Because this spell was already really good, but it looks like it's going to become even better, potentially much better. We'll have to see how that turns out. Anyways, as I said, my opinion of Shapechange always seems to get better the more I play around with it. This is a nice, strong blue. I'll also say this might be the most fun spell of 9th level, period. I've had the pleasure of using this spell and the pleasure of DMing players using this spell, and it is always a blast. So yeah, Foresight, good spell. But I highly recommend Shapechange for Druids. I think it's the clear standout. Heck, lately I've been recommending it as a strong primary selection for Wizards too. So from the best 9th level Druid spell to the worst. Next up, Storm of Vengeance. So 1 action to cast, and for up to 1 minute using our concentration, we create storm clouds at a point we can see. Like with Tsunami, this is no defined range, so potentially using methods to see greater ranges, we could have a massive range. And those storm clouds have a 360-foot radius, 720 feet across. Each creature under the cloud makes a Constitution saving throw, and if they fail, they take 2d6 damage and are deafened for 5 minutes. Yeah, you heard me right. 2d6. 0 on a successful saving throw. On the second round, creatures and objects in the area take a d6 acid damage. So we go from 2d6 to 1d6. Ooh, but no saving throw this time. Round 3, 6 lightning bolts for 10d6 damage to 6 creatures or objects, dexterity save for half damage. Round 4, hailstones, 2d6 damage. And for the remaining duration, the area under the cloud becomes difficult terrain and heavily obscured, d6 cold damage, no ranged weapon attacks, concentration checks for spellcasters, and strong winds. So obviously, this is no spell for actually adventuring. I don't need to tell you that a d6 or 2d6 damage isn't the kind of damage we would expect from a 9th level spell. Or, even a 1st level spell. If you are besieging a city, okay, then this makes perfect sense. But for PC adventurers, this is going to be basically worthless. This is one of those spells I get told is a quote-unquote DM spell. As in, the DM will use it with villains that the PCs have to stop from destroying whatever given city is being besieged. So, why is it in the player's handbook then? This is a red spell. Give this one a miss. Finally, we have True Resurrection. We cast this over 1 hour and touch a creature that's been dead up to 200 years that didn't die of old age. If the creature's soul is free and willing, it's restored to life with full hit points. after we expend the 25,000 gold pieces worth of diamond components, that is. Wounds are closed, poisons neutralized, diseases cured, curses removed, missing limbs restored, and if the original body is gone, a new one is provided. In which case, of course, you can't touch the dead body, so you speak the creature's name instead. Okay, so bringing creatures back from the dead is something we could already do with much lower level spells, lower casting times, and way, way lower cost components. So why is this a 9th level spell? Well, probably for the length of time the creature can be dead. So do we need this for a player character who dies? Absolutely not. If you need this spell, there's going to be a story reason for it. Maybe it's going to restore a long-dead king who is murdered, or a goodly wizard transformed into an evil undead, something like that. So this is going to be orange for sure. I mean, I don't think we would be preparing this normally. It's a good idea to have some method to bring back a player character who unfortunately dies. But prepare Revivify, 3rd level spell, 1 action, and it's almost 100th of the cost. Now all the other stuff we get with this, we can also do with lower level spells. Whether it's heal, regenerate, greater restoration, we have access to the spells we need to replicate pretty much everything else using lower level slots and much less costly components. This one is orange. I wouldn't expect to ever need this spell, but if the story reason does come up, unless they're currently like at the 73,000 and whatever number of days from leap year's dead mark, you've got time to prepare this for the next day. You'll probably need that day to track down the 25,000 gold pieces and diamonds anyways. So, as I said, this is a quick video. 4 spells. The clear winner here, Shapechange. But if you want an easier spell, Foresight is easy and effective and easy to play. And it is definitely worth a 9th level slot. And that completes my series on Druid spells. Definitely the class I've been most interested in deep diving on spell selection, because so many of the spells they get are fantastic battlefield control and summoning spells, which are personal favorite spell types for me, and in many cases only available to the Druid class. I hope you found it useful or at least entertaining. Regardless, until next time, I'm going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks everybody, and I'll talk to you soon.